Well, those books were definitely tough to get. Thanks to Amazon, nowadays we get our books in 3 days flat.
Yeah.
But I still remember in my early days when I got hold of a book. I was doing my MBA. I didn't like what I was doing. I was sitting in the library and I got hold of a very very thin book, and it spoke something about price and volume. It was by someone named Mr. Shah. I read that book, and again the similar kind of feeling. An hour went, and I was just going through, and that was my aha moment. Books were tough to get even in the year of 2004-05. So I used to go to the library, get those expensive books, photocopy them, and I still have them. Doc, let's go back a little bit more. I would like to know, what was the Doc in his teens like? What was he thinking? What was his dreams that I will become, and what kind of had an envisage yourself that this is what I would like to become later, and how the dots joined ahead for you? What was a young Doc thinking?
Well, I think, by training, I'm a dental surgeon. Okay, that's why the doctor in the name. And you just drifted into those times. If you had the marks, you did engineering or you did medicine, right? These are the only two things to do. And I had the marks, so I went into this field and I did that. But I actually got into the markets when I was a student of dentistry. And more than anything else, I think it was the complete raw energy of the market. One fine day I just went to Dalal Street. Okay. That time you had this old building, not the new BSc building that you're seeing. That was built in the later part of the 80s. This I'm talking about 77, 78 and all that. And the old building was there, and you had the trading ring in the ground floor, and it would spill over into the road as such. So when you went into that road, Dalal Street, you would hear a big roar. And that used to send some electric impulses through me, and that this is a area throbbing with activity, and I wanted to know what was going on. So I would just go there and stand for 1 hour, not knowing what's going on, but enjoying every minute of it, right? So somehow all that frenetic activity which was going on, people coming out of rooms and then confabulating with some people there, and everybody is animated and everybody is active, and they're all looking either very happy or a bit morose, and that. So some big mix of emotions, but whole lot of activity, very charged up atmosphere. So in contrast to that, being a dentist was very, very tame, right?
Sure.
So it was extremely tame, and I think over a period of time, I think that is the reason I made this transition. That I wanted something which was a lot more energetic. Now, you had the marks and you made a career and all that, and I was into practice also, but it never really excited me. Not that there was not enough money in dentistry. There is a whole lot of money. But more than the quantum of money, it's actually how the money is made.
Right.
That's a critical thing. If you just give me a lakh of rupees, it's no fun, right? But if I make a lakh of rupees on my own wits, that's worth 10 lakhs. It's not worth 1 lakh.
Correct.
So the market gave an environment where you could challenge yourself all the time.
Right.
And if you revel in challenges and you believe that you are up to that challenge, then I think there's no place like the market. I think that is what brought me in, and that's what kept me here all through till this day.
Super. So when you were there standing, listening to this roar, in those days people used to shout out the outcry method to buy and sell shares, physical shares, and now we just tap into our smartphones and we just buy our shares, which comes into our accounts. So there have been changes. The entire industry has seen changes in various stages. Technical analysis as a field has also seen very changes. So can you remember a couple of these changes which had actually impacted the market quite a bit? And for the future, what do you sense can change the market, the overall market, also the subject of technical analysis from here on?
See, technical analysis as a subject was quite obscure way back, when I started taking interest in it also. In fact, there were just a handful of us at that point of time. And it was not even fashionable to admit that you are a technical analyst.
Yes.
Because it was.
Ask me same.
Yeah. Right. So, this was pretty much the case for quite some time. 1992, if you recall, the Harshad Mehta time, is when the markets really moved up several notches, right? I remember, 1986, the BSE Sensex hit an all-time high of 664. Okay, that was at 664. And we felt that this was like an absolute peak. And therefore, once you are acclimatized to 600, 700, 500, 300, suddenly when it moves into 4 digits, then that becomes an event. And in 92, the index just kept going and it hit all the way till 4,500. And that kind of completely changed the markets. It changed the markets in the sense that people now came to know that a lot more things are possible here. But then excesses were built into the system, and then that took several years to work out. But I think the real leap, the great leap forward, as you would say, was the advent of screen-based trading,
Right.
and the advent of NSE.
Right.
The BSE was a club, okay, and we were all members of that club, and we were having a jolly time. But the NSE came and changed the whole thing. When the NSE came on, it was called a 3-stock exchange, because literally only 3 stocks would trade. There was Tisco, which used to have the maximum volume. Then there was Reliance, and maybe one other, I don't even recall now which it was. There were only 3 stocks which would trade the whole day, meaning 90% of the volume was in these 3 stocks. But what changed was that there was a dramatic increase in trading volumes. And when that happened, trading as an avenue, as a pursuit, as a career, all this started getting enabled. The very fact that you could engage in something of a shorter term nature, right? That itself was a revelation to most. Then the number 2 revelation was that if you could engage in something of a shorter term, everybody suddenly found that they didn't really have any tools to deal with the shorter term, right? And because I was so attuned to technical analysis already by that time, I was doing it full time, I suddenly realized that here was a huge opportunity which is staring at us in the face. And somewhere in 95, I think I created the first trading oriented product for the market, and that was a daily trading advisory. Today you got hundreds and thousands of people doing this. But in 1995, I do believe that it was the first time that we came out with something called trading advisory, and I did this completely based on charts. We did not have intraday charts, we did not have any facility for intraday charts, but then we used to assiduously collect data of the price fluctuations, and I used to plot intraday charts by hand, and we came out with movements out of those and calls based on that, and they worked remarkably well. Because the market has just transitioning into a complete trading orientation. So I think the first great leap forward, like I said, was screen-based trading and NSE, which to grab the market share, they encouraged trading.
Right.
And that really took off like a storm. This went on and it became more and more and more. And in 99, 2000, you had this big tech boom where this upside circuits and all became suddenly a new reality. You had never seen that earlier. But every day stocks would hit upside circuit. I think the circuit was pegged at about 8% those days. So you'd have 8% up moves and 8% down moves and all that, and then people had to reinvent themselves to deal with this new reality of the market, and the market became even more trading oriented. Alongside what happened is the tech boom also brought in the era of software.
Right.
I think that is the next great leap forward for technical analysis in India. Because no longer did you have to chart things by hand, but now you had data available, you had intraday data available, you had software which came out, and all those things enabled trading to happen more. It's not as though we were not using technicals for the longer term, but then the demand for servicing the shorter end of the market was so huge that somehow technical analysis just got morphed into being the tool of choice for all those who wanted to trade. And the number of people who wanted to trade was just going up by leaps and bounds. And then the net came on, right? The internet came on. And once the internet came on and the emails and websites and all these things came on, then the availability of services that started coming on. And I think all these have just led to more and more of this.
Right.
And the final big element which produced a change and really gave a huge boost to technical analysis, as it were, I think is the advent of the television channel. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember doing my first CNBC interview in 2001. Okay. And 2001 CNBC, it I think just got introduced, and if I remember correctly, Udayan Mukherjee was the one-man show in that CNBC studio. He was the cameraman. Okay, he used to mic me up. He used to switch on the lights also. He used to ask the question also. Everything was done by him alone. It was that primitive at that point of time. But I think with the TV channels coming in and their need for having or providing content all through the day, not being able to do that using the fundamental side, they had to fall back on the technical side and get them to fill up the hours of the day so that they could have first 4 hours of programming, then 8 hours of programming, and now 15 hours of programming. So that has just become more and more acute as the time has moved. I think so. These three things: the shift to screen-based trading, the advent of NSE, the sharp drop in trading costs, which also happened alongside with this, because brokers went on a warpath on the rates. So trading actually became viable because the costs were lower. And this huge increase in arbitrage, because NSE BSE had different cycles, right? And that created a big arbitrage environment, which created the volumes and it created the movements. So it enabled short-term trading, intraday trading, and that helped the chartists, and then that helped the traders. So everything was a huge positive cycle which was getting built from about 95 all the way till about 2008-10. I think that was one positive flow which happened. Each step, I think technicals got a fresh shot in the arm.